Salted oatmeal chocolate chunk cookies. Want to know my secret ingredient? Let's make them. Start first with your all-purpose flour. It has a medium amount of protein, which makes it perfect for baking cookies. Then you're going to add your salt, followed by your baking powder, and then your baking soda. Mix your dry ingredients together, and then in a separate bowl, add brown sugar and white sugar together. Then add all of your softened butter and prepare your stand mixer. You'll want to use the flat beater attachment. Don't forget you also can use a hand mixer if you prefer. Cream together the butter and sugars in the bowl for about 3 minutes. Then you'll add your eggs one at a time so that they're well incorporated. Then go ahead and add your vanilla extract. Prepare to add the flour to the dough. You'll want to do this little by little because you don't want the flour to splash everywhere. You'll add the oatmeal next, and you want to do this just until all the oatmeal is combined. Once you notice that it is, then you stop. You don't want to overmix this dough. You'll mix in the chocolate chunks next, and you'll do this by hand with a spatula. I prefer the texture of chocolate chunks better than chocolate chips. I also prefer dark chocolate because it gives a really rich flavor that's not too sweet. Next, you'll need to chill the cookie dough. Do this by spooning the batter onto a sheet. Then you'll be putting this sheet into the freezer for 25 minutes. This step is important because it makes it so that you don't have a cookie that spreads too much with baking. You can make whatever size cookies you prefer. Sometimes I use a small cookie scoop, and other times I use a medium one for a larger cookie. Once you take the cookie dough out of the freezer, use your hands to form them into more defined cookie dough balls just like this. I usually take them all and store them inside of a Ziploc bag so that I can bake them whenever I want. I usually set aside some and bake them now and set aside the rest for later. Set the cookies on a baking sheet and bake at 350 degrees Fahrenheit, and what you get are perfect, beautiful, salted oatmeal chocolate chunk cookies. In case you haven't figured it out, the secret ingredient is salt. I mean, it was in the title. The salt really enhances the flavor of the chocolate, and it gives it an even fuller, more indulgent taste. I've also discovered more cookie tips to help you make the perfect cookie. Everyone knows it's important to use room temperature butter, but it's also important to remember that you shouldn't leave the butter sitting out on the countertop for an excessive amount of time, because this also will mess up your cookie if your butter is too soft. It's also important to measure your flour very accurately. You can use a scale, but if you're like me and not about that life, then just being sure that you level up the top of the flour is good enough. Then you want to make sure that you also bake on a light colored pan, because the darker pans are what tend to burn the bottom of the cookie because they absorb more heat with cooking. Another thing is that you want to be sure that you're mixing the dough just until all the stuff is incorporated. You don't want to overmix the dough because this is what will lead to a tougher, not so chewy cookie. That's all I got for now. Thanks for watching. You can head to platedplanner.com to get your digital recipe book, and you can also be sure to watch more of our cooking videos here on YouTube.